There it is. Wow. Welcome, one and all. We took a week off, but now we're back for a big one today. I'm Dave Gloeckner. That's Joel Schreck. Gloeck and Schreck here on a Saturday morning. CFB DFS Masterminds, part of the Win Daily Sports Network, where we bring you every sport from a DFS and betting perspective. And we can't wait to get into today's slate, which is packed with awesome games. And then even outside of our slate, awesome games all day. It's a great college football day. What's up, Joel?
I'm excited. Great day for college football. Great week for DFS. They made it, we look for these kind of DFS games to attack, the game scripts, the high scores. They've got a few this week that are clear target spots, and there's a few clear fade spots, a few defensive low-scoring games. So they made it a fun week for us to attack. I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a very profitable week, but let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll go over this slate, 12 games. We're doing the early slate, as always, the bigger slate on the college football day here on Saturday, Veterans Day. Thank you, all those veterans, November 11th. So let's get right into it, Joel. Let's bring up the sheet.
Let's do it. Well, as we always do. We'll go game by game, and we'll go through the players we like within each game. We take a peek at each depth chart so you know which players we are talking about. In the early hours, to start, we have Georgia Tech and Clemson. So this is interesting from the standpoint that Georgia Tech's defense is terrible, and you can score a lot of points on them, and they can usually keep up with scoring. They have a pretty good quarterback themselves. Now, this Clemson defense is good. I wouldn't call this like the ideal game environment because of a Clemson side, but there will be some players to attack here. My favorite, the one I'll be looking at on Clemson side, is the running back game. What makes it a little confusing is that Shipley's back, and how is this workload going to be split? But Maffa looked really good taking over the lead back spot with Shipley out. From what we've seen, I would be surprised if it's not Maffa's backfield, at least as the leader. I mean, sure, Shipley's going to play, but I think Maffa has taken over as the better player between the two. At 5,700, he's certainly affordable against a very vulnerable Georgia Tech defense. So I'll have some shares, but I'm not going to go crazy because I am scared of how much work Shipley will steal.
Yeah, I agree. Last week was actually a really nice situation. Shipley getting ruled out late, getting Maffa in the 5K range. I probably just didn't have enough of him last week because the matchup was a little iffy. It was Notre Dame last week, right? So tough matchup, but he excelled. He was great, and I wish we could have that once again in this type of environment. But you're right. We're going to get a little shared action. I still think Maffa's in play. The price isn't terrible, but more importantly, it's weird with Shipley. I can't play them both, but I'll probably, their salaries are the same. Then I might get maybe 60% Maffa, 40% Shipley. I'm still going to play a little Shipley just because they trust him in the passing game a little bit more for that reason. Now, Klubnik's been god-awful. He's been terrible. If you look at his stats, I don't know if he's put up more than like 15 in the past 2 months. He had a good early start, but it's been bad. So really the running game, I'm with you, is what we got to focus on here. So, yeah. He had 18.9 against Miami, but other than that, he had some early 20s, almost 30s. He's just been bad since. So I think it's running game today. And if you didn't know, Dabo's telling you better buy stock now in this Clemson team.
Listen, I want to root for Dabo, but
I don't.
It's a lot different when you don't have Deshaun Watson playing quarterback and
or T-Law
Lawrence. So with Klubnik, that's just not going to look the same. But I do think Clemson will be back. They're able to get top-tier recruits. It's just a matter of, I think, them coming around and getting another big-tier 5-star recruit quarterback to lead this offense. And when they do that, I think they'll be a dangerous team again. But for now, I'm not really interested.
So is it all Maffa for you and no Shipley, or will you expose some Shipley?
I'm probably all Maffa, no Shipley, but I'm not playing a lot of Maffa either. I'm just not going to be overexposed. I think they're eating into each other too much. So I'm not against Shipley. I certainly understand. I can see Shipley being the one that comes up with the big scoring day. That's why I'm a little scared to go to this play.
Yeah, when I say 60-40, if I play like 50 lineups today, I'm talking Clemson running backs are in maybe 10 or less. So yeah, I'm not heavy either way. And I agree. They're going to eat into each other. But in the GPP sense, if one can just break loose that long run or something like that, this value, the price range is decent for them today. It's pretty.
The price is right in a good matchup for sure.
Yep.
All right. I like this Kansas-Texas Tech game. So Kansas has been a great DFS target all year. They score points. They don't play great defense. It's usually a very good game environment. The problem with Kansas is they spread the ball out. There's not one target you're gonna look at in the receiving game. And the running game, Neal is the guy, but they priced Neal up a little too much for considering he's not really the bell cow that's going to get 30 carries. And so if you're not going to get those carries, I think there's just other guys I prefer. So in terms of DFS, I'm actually targeting this Texas Tech side a little bit more. There's two guys on Texas Tech that I like a lot this week, starting with their best player, the running back, Taj Brooks. They're going to feed him the ball 30 times. They actually have 31 each of the last 2 games. He's gone over 100 yards almost every week since week 2. He got 98 in week 7. And he scored a touchdown every week since week 5. So you know what you're getting from him, and this Kansas defense is not very strong.
Yeah. I love it. And he's got, don't forget 31 carries is great. And then 4 receptions and then 3 receptions. I mean, it's almost 35 touches on average the past 2 games. And you don't have to just single those past 2 games because we step back to Baylor, another 31. So Taj Brooks is awesome. And to your point, Kansas almost 200th against running backs. And when Devin Neal is about only 500-600 cheaper, take the guy with the more volume and take and even better matchup.
For sure. Better matchup, more volume. Brooks will be, in my opinion, the better play of the 2 here. The other guy on this Texas Tech team that I'm bullish about is their up-and-coming receiver, Eakin. Now, he's been on the scene just since week 6. But in week 7, he had 5 for 102. In week 10, he had 8 for 78. He looks to now become their number 1 receiver. He's only 3,800. So if you're looking for a value play, one of my favorite value plays on the board is going to be Corey Eakin at Texas Tech.
Yeah, I like it. It is something that, they're targeting lately, and especially against a team. This is a high-paced matchup with a total over 60. So I like it. I think that's a great 3,800. You can build so much around this, and he only needs to get you 10 to 12 to really get you in the green. So nice pick.
Boom.
Now, I do like – now, let me ask, if you're not going to play Eakin, because I think Price is still a valuable target here. He has 38 receptions, leads the team in receptions on the season, 5 TDs. Is it something that you would consider playing Price and Eakin? I mean, together they only make up about 9,000.
I would only play Price and Eakin together if I'm playing the quarterback too.
Yeah,
because at that point he's got to get there as well. But yeah, I think if you're going to do it for a Texas Tech stack and play the quarterback, I think more in here, then you can double stack those guys for sure.
And then you'd fade the running back because you need these guys. Yep, exactly. Yep.
But one thing I'll even add, if you want to do a game stack here, you could also do the running back and one of these 2 guys together because he catches passes, so you could catch one, a screen for a touchdown.
Yes.
All those stats could correlate for you as well.
And listen, the thing we always like to say is you're not really as a threat of a running quarterback with Morton here. So he's not going to steal your touchdowns as well as like another running quarterback could. So that's why pairing up a running back receiver, I think really works in this game. And if you do, I do consider running back with Neal. I do. If you're going to get in the full game stack, if you can afford that, I would probably try get Neal. If you're going to go a Texas Tech team stack, I want to get a piece of Kansas because you're going to need them to score.
Yeah, because at that point you're banking on like a 41-34 game, so there's going to be a ton of points. You got to get some exposure to them.
Right.
Okay, we can keep this train moving. Bama UK. We'll probably be pretty quick on this game. I'm a full fade on the game for DFS purposes. How about you, Dave?
So the one I just got to convince myself, I'm not going to full fade him, but I'm not going to overplay him, is Milroe. I mean, last week, he can't repeat what he did last week. And we all have to remember this and say it with me. It was LSU. One more time. It was LSU. They would let up 100 yards rushing to me, and I'm out of shape and running 5.2 40. So Milroe went for 4 rushing touchdowns. Like, I know it's not going to happen again, but Alabama's offense has kind of transpired a little bit, transformed, I should say. And it's his team. So I am interested in him a little bit, but 9K is a lot. But if he's running that much, Joel, I mean, 22 times last week, if you get that many runs out of a quarterback, 9K is not that much.
No, you're right. Listen, if he has another game where he rushes for 4 touchdowns, then he's going to be in the winning slate. And I'm having the same thought process you're having. It's like, can he really do it again? He's not playing LSU. It seems unlikely he's going to go back-to-back weeks. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
I might play him in one lineup, just because, like you said,
right.
if a quarterback's going to get 20 carries, anything can happen there. But I have to think he's going to revert back to his norm here.
And
Even
I
if
agree.
that is 25 points, that's not enough for me at 9K.
I agree. I'll be under what everyone else is playing, but I'll play him a little bit. That was my only point.
Cover yourself just in case. I like it. I like it. I think we're in the same boat here with Michigan Penn State. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. A lot to watch. Not a lot to like for me for DFS. How about you?
No, and that's why I get into this and I laugh because JJ McCarthy's 9,100, and there's no way in a chance I'm playing him. But Milrow at 100 less, I actually can play a little. So thought the pricing here was way off for a game that's going to be a little ugly, like the Ohio State Penn State game was. Drew Aller not even close, and I like nothing on the Penn State side. Unfortunately, as we all know, with that backfield of Singleton and Allen is good in some certain situations, not against Michigan. And then on the Michigan side, I don't know. There's nothing I can really play in this type of game environment. I agree.
I'm with you. It's a low scoring game. Two good teams, not a DFS play.
Fun game to watch, probably.
Yeah, it'll be. I'll probably have it on, but I will.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sure.
All right, let's look at Tulsa Tulane. This Tulsa defense is pretty bad, so I think it is one we can target. Tulane can score. Pratt is experienced. We've been talking about Pratt for years. So if you watch our show, you know Pratt. The thing is, this year, Pratt, I don't think his receivers are as good as they've been in the past. Pratt's fine. You can play Pratt, but my preferred play is going to be the running back, Mekhi Hughes. Mekhi Hughes is under 6K. He's very underpriced. He's been getting consistently 20, 22, 26, 23 carries. He's gone over 100 yards each of the last 5 weeks. And this is a Tulsa team that has gotten beaten on the ground multiple times. So I'm happy to go to Hughes here at under 6K.
Yeah, I like it. I remember playing the game. It might have been early in the season when he was way underpriced and came up big for us. So he's still got a special piece, from DFS in my heart. So that's about all I'm playing in this game, Joel. What concerns me is I'm trying to look back. Yeah, he had a game against UAB. I know we played hard, but yeah, 24-point spread, 55-point total. Like it's really shown me that it's probably going to be heavy Tulane, nothing Tulsa. So how long do they keep these guys in the game? That's why Pratt's a good runner, and we tend to like Pratt for those reasons. I just think they could get out of this game pretty quick today. So I like the running game. I'll stick with Hughes, and I don't know much else. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's probably Hughes is definitely the priority here. There's not much else that I'm targeting. There was one cheaper receiver, maybe Benjamin. If you're looking for another value receiver, he's pretty involved. 9 catches in the last 2 weeks. He's got 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, but he's not a slate breaker. Maybe for cash if you're looking for some salary saving, but nothing else that I love.
I agree. Hey, Warren, thanks for checking in. Yes, it is a stack running back slate. And some of the higher price running backs have some great matchups. So it's going to be interesting how we try and fit some of these in. But already, using a guy like Hughes that's down at 6 or lower is one idea how we can kind of work in those higher priced running backs. So I hope we can get there. But we'll get to those coming up next. What game we have now?
It is coming. It is certainly coming. We got this Arizona-Colorado game. Here's one that is 100% set in my radar and a game I want to target. Listen, we started the year, we would love Colorado, but right now they're making offensive changes. They got a new coordinator. They looked terrible last week. And there's a lot of question marks right now around what Colorado team is going to show up. But what we know about Colorado is that the defense isn't good, and they're going to give up points and they're going to give up yards, and that's been consistent all year. And this Arizona offense is good. This team can move the ball. They're well coached. They're starting a backup quarterback, but he's played now for about 4 or 5 straight weeks. Fifita. And on only 6K, he's my favorite value quarterback on the slate because quarterbacks find success against this Colorado team. He's thrown for 300, 275, 342, 303 the last 4 tries out. He's thrown for 5 touchdowns, 0 here, but then 3 and 3. So in 3 of his last 4 games, he's got 11 touchdowns. So this guy can play. And this is the matchup to target him at a certainly more than affordable rate. I love Noah Fifita today.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's my favorite. I will be heavy on Noah today. 6K, it really fits in a lot of my higher price running backs as we're talking about. Noah, he's been awesome since starting. He's a redshirt freshman too, so they're not going backwards. They're seeing some development here, a future. Arizona's ranked 21st in the nation too. Like, surprise, surprise, they're here sooner than a lot of people anticipated in a decent Pac-12 too. Don't forget. So yeah, I like FIFA a lot today. Colorado allowing over 300 yards per game passing. Like it's a total sieve. And I mean, Dion knows it. They all know it, but they don't have the players to stop it right now. So I like FIFA a lot today. I think he's in my top 1-2 quarterback plays of the day.
For sure. I got a big 3 of my quarterback plays.
And he's in it?
And he is in it.
How about Sanders then?
Sanders out. Basically, what we saw last week with the new offensive coordinator was concerning.
Sure.
Do I see that they can get back and get some upside? Yes, but at 9,200, there's just other guys at that price that have similar, if not bigger, upside. So, if Sanders was priced 7,100, 7,500, then yes, I would say maybe they turn around. This could be a good spot. But at 92, that's just not someone I want to take the shot on as my highest salary player.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks are troublesome a little bit with UCLA and Oregon State kind of shutting down. And if I remember right, they scored a touchdown at the end of both those games to keep his streak alive. They're just going to keep throwing. He's got like a touchdown pass in like 30-some straight games. So, one thing I do know, even with new offensive coordinator, they're showcasing Sanders. But I think it is a tough spot. Arizona's been playing some decent D of late too. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a complete fade for me, but I will say, because the only reason is, what if we could get into a good game stack here?
Yeah, no, and then that's where I was going to say. I'll have plenty of game stacks where I play some of these receivers.
Okay.
9,200 Shador, it's just hard to make the whole thing work.
Yeah, no, I agree. The price isn't right. And, if he's at 9,200, you need mid-30s.
Exactly.
You do, and I'm not sure you get there. Arizona let up 10 to UCLA, let up 24 to 6 to Washington State. I mean, they've barely let up 10 points a game the past few weeks. So
the only thing I'll say in defense of Shador is that the 2 weeks where he's regressed a bit here, those are 2 tough matchups. Those aren't cupcakes that he should have done much better. Those are 2 very tough defensive teams that kept them in check. But to your point, this Arizona defense is improved. They're no slouch either. So this doesn't seem like a layup spot for Shador to come back and bounce back to.
I agree. All right, looking at the receivers, though. I mean, I do think, like you said, there are some value. Obviously, Hunter and Weaver kind of lead the way, but do you have a preference between the two, or do you like Horn even better?
I think it's Hunter and Weaver. Through my research this week, I saw that Arizona is actually a little bit better defending the slot. So I am going to lean Weaver. I think it's a bounce back spot for Weaver where they get him a little bit more involved. So my preference is Weaver, but I'm okay with playing any of the Colorado receivers in a game stack here.
Yeah, I mean, Weaver's only had 1 game below 5 receptions. I think it's definitely your safer floor, but he's also got a ceiling that can get you in the 30s and 40s. So, yeah, you think Hunter's great, right? We all love Hunter. I think he's the target they like down near the goal line a little more too. But if you're not moving the ball between the 20s, I don't know how often you'll be down near the goal line. So, yeah, I like Weaver more. I do.
There we go. Now on the Arizona side, there's a lot of pass catches I'm going to be pretty heavy on here. I think this Colorado secondary gives up big days to pass catchers. I'm going to start with my different play, the one that I'm going to give you low owned that many people aren't going to play that I think could be a difference maker this week, and that's going to be Arizona's tight end McLachlan. Now he's only $4K, so you're getting a really affordable. But if you look back on the year, Colorado has gotten obliterated by tight ends. They just can't cover tight ends. And if you have a team that has a tight end that's featured that they get the ball to, they have success against this Colorado team. So McLachlan's involved. Listen, he's got 4 catches, 3 catches, 5 catches. I like to see him get in the end zone a little bit more, but I think today's the day he has some touchdown positive regression and makes up for it against a team that has been very vulnerable against tight ends. I
like it. And if you want to go value for me, it's actually in the Arizona running game. Jonah Coleman is a guy I'm targeting. He's been really good of late. Now, the key to this pick, obviously, is the health of Michael Wiley. Wiley at 45. I'm not in for a running back share. But if Wiley's out, Coleman's one of my bigger plays here. Now, Colorado's been a little bit better against the run, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm looking at a guy that can get 15-plus touches against the Colorado offense at 4,300. I'm good and I'm good. I don't care what Colorado's defense is. They could be playing Bama and I'd be good at 4,300. So I like Coleman a lot today, but keep an eye on Miley.
No, you're spot on. Coleman's underpriced here for especially if Wiley's out for what his role would be in a great game environment. Coleman's someone that definitely I will have on my radar because of that pricing here. Before we move off this game, I will say McMillan and Cowing are the two main receivers on Arizona. I will certainly have my shares of them. McMillan's probably my preference of the two, but I like them both. They both can get there today.
Yep.
All right. The next game here is going to be Florida State, Dave. Tell me what you're thinking, man. This is a good game. This is maybe one of my the games I'm most excited to watch today. I think it's an okay DFS environment. I'm not in love with it, but definitely something we can target. But it's going to be a great game. Dave, as the Florida State fan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm always nervous when you play Miami. And when I'm nervous, it's either a blowout one way or the other. Like it's going to go one. I don't think it's going to be necessarily the closest of games. But, we'll see. I do think it's a great DFS environment, though. I really do. Florida State's defense isn't as, sound as maybe some of the other tops in the nation. I think if they don't create pressure as a quarterback, I think they're letting up maybe one of the biggest yards per play on first down. They're gettable. So Miami's players are in play. But on this side, this is the key. You just had them up. The receivers for Florida State. Last week, they both sat out. And Florida State struggled early because of that, but they were able to, get their way going and beat Wake Forest late 41-16. Keon has to play them. They somehow, some way, and the reports coming out of ESPN this morning is he will. And then if they can add Johnny Wilson, I don't think Wilson takes away from Coleman as much. I think he might even open up the field for Coleman. So I think Keon's in play for me big. Now he's dropped below the 7K range too, right? So he's down in the 66, which is first time we've seen that since week 2 or 3. I think he's a great play today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if both these guys are playing, that opens up this Florida State offense. Listen, Travis has been great this year. He has been excellent with a full onslaught of weapons at his disposal today. I think Travis can play, even at 9,500. Give me all his receivers. This Miami defense is a funnel defense. They're very good against the run. Florida State doesn't want to run the ball anyway. He's just telling them throw it every time. So you're going to give Travis the ability to have the ceiling game. So if I'm going to spend up in the 9K range at quarterback, I'm not going to be overexposed because it's a lot to pay for quarterback. And there's some other guys that I can get at a lower price. But I might sprinkle some shares of Travis, and I'll stack him for sure with at least one, maybe both receivers.
Yeah, I like it. And as always, you can always mix in the tight end too because, I mean, he's been priced up a little bit recently because of the injury. So that's the only thing. He's not really the highest of ceiling guys. When he was down in the low 4s, high 3s, he was a lot better, but 5,100 is a little much. I'd probably rather lean on Wilson, but I'm with you. The other thing about Travis is he steals touchdowns from the running backs.
Yep.
He runs it. I think he ran in 2 last week. So I think I like that pick. I think Travis is definitely, so he's in your big 3.
No.
Okay.
He's in the bottom. He might make a couple lineups, but no.
Okay. Got it.
It's mainly because of price. I think points wise, his projection, everything is up there. But I just think there's other guys that are close that just cost less that you can do more with your lineup for.
Yeah. Okay. Now on Miami, I think the quarterback's in play, and I think what are you thinking? Because Van Dyke, when he was projected a top 10 quarterback at some point early in the season, top 10 pick, I'm sorry, in the NFL draft. That's how highly he was thought of. And it started out okay, but then injuries aside, and Miami just looking ugly. He's been terrible the past few weeks. So, but it's Miami, Florida State. I feel like he should be in play.
Listen, I can see it, right? I can see this being a shootout and him getting there and it being a back and forth game. I don't want to take the shot because he's 8K. If he was 7K, maybe it'd be worth it and build more out of your lineup. But at 8K, he's got to do a lot. Is it possible? Yes. The only way I would go there is in a full game stack.
Yeah, I agree. If we get in a full game stack, then maybe that. Throw Restrepo in there. He's just such a highly targeted receiver.
Exactly. All right. Now, the game we've been waiting for to talk about. Some big plays here. Listen, I'm not going to play a lineup today that doesn't feature Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
I don't see the purpose of doing so. You got to find a way to get leverage on the field. The only way, in my opinion, that Ollie Gordon hurts me today is if he gets hurt. Because if he's healthy the whole game, he's going to get there. He should be the highest priced player on the slate, in my opinion. The way, one, they're giving him the ball. Two, it's a great matchup for him. And this is a team that gets getting beaten on the ground. It's hard to imagine a better DFS play all year than Ollie Gordon is today.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been pretty cool watching the transformation, again, using that word, of, Oklahoma State's offense. Early in the year, I think they were using Gundy at quarterback, but now they've settled on Bowman. They weren't even using Ollie Gordon at running back. They lost early, I think it was to South Alabama. And now they've ripped off 5 straight, and it's been behind Ollie Gordon, and he's been fantastic. I mean, if you've been playing defense, but it's really been that point when they turned to Gordon and Bowman. And last week's upset at Oklahoma was huge for them, right? And that gives you the confidence. It's Bowman, Gordon. It's their team, and I'm with you. Gordon touches it 30 times without injury today. He's a huge smash play.
Smash. I mean, listen, he's going to be owned. I mean, we're not the only ones playing Gordon, but my leverage in the field is I'm going to have 100% ownership. So that's my way of getting different than everyone else, is that he's going to – I'm so confident he'll get there. Like I said, the only way he hurts us is with injury. Harvey's in play too. I mean, I think this is going to be a good game environment. I think it's a high-scoring game. Harvey gets plenty of touches. He's gotten there each of the last 4 weeks pretty much. A touchdown would certainly help, but this Oklahoma State defense is certainly vulnerable. So Harvey at 6,700 is in play. My preferred play, one of my big 3 quarterbacks you were asking for, is Plumlee.
Yeah.
Plumlee's back. And Plumlee runs the ball too, runs it plenty. He showed some legs last week with 13 carries. If he's getting 10 plus carries, listen, this isn't a most explosive passing offense, but when you're going to get 10 to 15 carries and a rushing touchdown, you don't need to do that much through the air. That will get you there. So what I think will be a back and forth, great game environment, I think Plumlee is very much so in play as one of my big 3 quarterbacks today.
Yeah, and I've liked what I've seen. He's been putting up some decent points the last 3 weeks, and now he gets really an environment that he can excel in. I love the spread, 2.5, right? We're projecting a tightly contested battle all game. I heard there might be a little bit of rain, but it's going to be light. It's not going to be anything heavy, so that won't impact us. And then, 64.5, the highest total on the board. So everything's leaning towards this game being a great game stack. And if you're going to game stack it, you got to get Plumlee in there. And I'm not even against pairing him up with Bowman. On the other side, I think Bowman's been really good of late, and he had his best game probably last week. Maybe not points wise, he had the rushing touchdown, he didn't throw any, but he still threw for over 300. But the key to that is the receiver, right? The guy's been on fire. Leon Johnson III. He's only played 2 games, but 5 receptions in both those games, putting up an average of 17.5 points at 4,900. He's become their number 1. I know you had your eye on him a couple weeks ago.
I did. I like him, but it's funny. I'm laughing because this offense exploded so much. I wasn't sure which guy you were talking about when you said he's become the number 1, because it could have been Leon. It also could have been Owens. Owens has been spectacular. Owens had 10 catches, 136 yards last week. He's really, since week 7, come on as well in this offense. So I think you play either one of these guys. Both guys underpriced for what their current role is in this offense and what should be an explosive game. So I like both plays.
Yeah, and listen, solid picks. I'll give you a couple. We're talking DraftKings, obviously, and some of the games are similar. But yeah, we'll throw a couple of FanDuels out there. And Warren, a great point. If he was 9K, still play him. I don't disagree.
I thought it should have been 9K, honestly.
Yeah. And we've already highlighted some good, 5, 4, even some 3,800 play that we can really fit him in, even if he was 9. I agree. Because I could even consider, I could consider him in a super flex and not even playing 2 quarterbacks there.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, because they made him under 8K, you don't need to do that. You can place 2 quarterbacks into him because of the price. That's why I thought they should have made him 9K and make some tough decisions and said now today he's going to be 50% owned and everyone's going to have him, and then you just got to kind of eat that chalk and
you got to eat it. I agree.
I will play Baker with Plumlee. I'm probably not going to be playing Baker outside of lineups with Plumlee, but he'd be my preferred stack if I'm in the lineups and I'm rolling Plumlee out there in.
Another good point, Warren. Yeah, I could see a game. I could see some lineups like that before.
I'm playing a lot of 3 running back today.
Yeah,
I still am trying to prioritize 2 quarterbacks and then 3 running backs as well. But I can get behind that, and there's certainly enough good running back plays to make that happen.
I can too.
All right, let's look at this Washington-Utah game. This one's a tough one because it's kind of two colliding worlds, from a really good defensive team that's not very good on offense to a really good offensive team that leaves some to be desired on defense. So how do you think this plays out? Because of the way DraftKings priced these Washington players, I just think there's other spots to attack. Even I don't think these guys flop, but even if they don't have their ceiling game at the highest price on the slate, there's probably other guys that can match their total. So I'm actually pretty out on this game. How about you, Dave?
I am. I'm just trying to understand the running back situation in Utah right now because, if Jackson doesn't play, there is some real cheap options there, and Washington isn't. I mean, they're not the best against running backs. I mean, shown on DraftKings, 159th against running backs. So that's the only thing. Jaquindon's, a workhorse when he's playing, but if he doesn't play, I might try and get cheap somewhere in the Utah, but that's it on Utah side.
I would agree. You're right. Glover at 4,200 would be way too cheap for that, for the workload he would get without Jackson. So if the problem is a 3:30 start, we need some information to figure that out. But I guess you could, if you have Coleman in there, you can mix and match Coleman, but that's still 2:00, so that's still not quite late enough. So it makes it some tough decisions you'd have to make.
Yeah. What did we have? Oh yeah, 2:00. Yep, you're right.
So, but yeah, no, that's a solid call there. This Tennessee-Missouri game, for me, not a great DFS match, but there are some plays here that I might isolate that I would look at. I'm not too interested in the quarterback room. I think some people are going to be. So I think I'm in the minority in being not interested in this quarterback room. I think others will be looking to stack maybe this game. But there's some other plays I prefer. My preferred play here would be Schrader, Missouri's running back. He has really found some success recently.
Yep.
Each of the last 4 weeks, he's pretty much gotten there. I think he's pretty much matchup proof considering he did it against Georgia last week. While this isn't the best matchup against a solid Tennessee defense, I think Schrader still gets there at 6K.
I think he's underpriced. I mean, for the volume he's getting, the work he's been doing, averaging, what was it, about 25 carries past 3 weeks, and then getting involved in the passing game too, with 8 catches the past 3 weeks. I think he's a little underpriced at 6K versus a Tennessee team you can run a little bit against. So, yeah, I like Schrader a lot.
Schrader's in play. And then on the receiving end, I think some of these Missouri receivers are in play. You really got to pay up for Burden in this spot, but, I mean, Burden might be the best receiver in the country, certainly top 5. So if you're looking for a talent at 6,900, I'm certainly okay with Burden. When Burden was questionable, I really liked Weiss. Burden plays. I think Weiss is okay at 5,100, but not as much of a smash play.
Yeah, I read Burden is playing today. I mean, it's 13 versus 14. It's one of Missouri's bigger games in recent history. So I did hear the coach say he's playing. That's all he said. One was 2 or 3 words and walked out. So I agree. Weiss would have been a little more attractive. The concern with Burden, I think he went out with, what was it, like a thigh injury or a hip? But I don't think it was hamstring. It was something. Does it have it on here?
Coach said he looked great this week and will play. So,
yeah, I know he got dinged up a little bit lower body. So I don't think it's soft tissue. So that makes me a little bit happier because I don't think it re-aggravated. I think he's just got to toughen up. And if he does, he's definitely in my lineups. I think he's special, right? You already said it could be one of the best receivers. Ankle, Warren's saying. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's still a little concerning, but I think he's going to toughen up. I'm going to have him in my lineups. He's too tough a guard. He really is. He can take the slip screens. He can take the bubble screens. He can go deep. He's everywhere in that offense.
Yeah. I mean, he's as talented as any receiver in the country. He certainly has the upside to get there today.
Would you touch Squirrel on the other side?
Squirrel's one of the types. 5,800. I think he's a little overpriced for what I want to see from him, but he's certainly a guy that can get there. He's got the big play ability. Squirrel's the type of guy I'll probably have in like a lineup or 2 today, but I won't be overexposed.
Yeah, I just remember like Missouri against LSU, they let up everything to Neighbors, and then last week, I want to say McConkey. Georgia had some good receiving games. They don't tend to guard the receiver well. That I'm okay getting Squirrel as a one-off here. I don't have to have him in a game stack. I might play him in some one-offs too.
To your point, this is a funnel defense. They're much better against the run than they are against the pass. So they're kind of making you throw the ball on them.
Yeah.
All right, the Purdue-Minnesota game, I'm not too interested on the Purdue side, but the Minnesota running back situation is going to be very interesting because we're not getting really much of an update here on Taylor. My guess is that he'll be out. I haven't seen anything that would suggest otherwise. With Taylor out, it makes Newbin one of my favorite value plays on the board because he had 40 carries.
Unbelievable.
40 carries. That's unbelievable. Considering he's only $4,000, that's just that's way too much. Now he only had 19 carries against Illinois, but that's still, if he gets 19 carries today, that's enough at 4K. That's plenty. So if Taylor's out and we're going to get Newbin as the featured back, this would be a smash value play for me.
So that could be our little flop at swap at 330, right? I think I think that's a great call, right in that 4K range. I mean, out of the two there that we talked about, when going back to Utah, looking at Glover, I think that's a good swap we'll have. So yeah, I love Newbin. It's crazy. He didn't play in week 8 when Taylor last played, but it's his backfield as soon as we get that news, and that would be great for us.
That would be, yeah. That's a guy I'm going to prioritize. And this is another one that can burn me because if Taylor plays, then you're going to be sitting there. You'd have to find a way to swap out. Keep in mind, if you're playing Newbin, if you want to swap him out, either way, keep your salaries right so that you have the extra 200 to get Newbin out, to get in maybe the Utah guy or what have you, so that you're not stuck effing any last-minute injury changes.
Yeah, it would be tough saving 2,000 to buy up to Taylor. So, yeah, you got to – yeah, that one's kind of roll the dice. I wish this game was a little earlier, but we've been burnt by 12 o'clock inactives already, so I'd rather maybe the 3:30. So
all right, the last game of the day and one of the most explosive ones to target. Washington State and Cal. Love this spot for many reasons. So one of my favorite quarterbacks in the day is going to be Cameron Ward. This Cal defense is bad. They can the Washington State team does not want to run the ball. Ward's going to be able to throw the ball at least probably 40 times, in my opinion. And you can move the ball in the air on this Cal team. So you've seen that 30, 35-point upside, 40-point upside from Ward. This seems like a spot where he can get there again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he had a bad game recently, but don't look at that. He's had some. That was versus good defense. We've seen that in the Pac-12. We've seen good defense, then, bad defense. Stanford, I mean, they're kind of a middle defense, but really looking at his 2 games before that, Arizona State, Oregon, this is what we're going to get. And Ward runs the ball a decent amount too. When, presented the opportunities, you look at 6, 12, 11, 8, 7. He's a perfect fantasy matchup. So yeah, versus Cal today. I mean, I think we said it before. Any passing game versus Cal, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Cal is definitely a spot for us to target. With that being said, it's a great game environment. So I like the quarterback on the other side as well. And if you're looking for another value quarterback under 6K, take a look at Mendoza. Mendoza's been playing pretty well for an up-and-comer who only has a few games under his belt. Obviously USC was a great matchup, but he got there against USC. He could do some damage with his legs. Again, this is a good matchup. This Washington State defense is poor. He didn't look as good against Oregon last week, but this is a completely different defense he'll be going up against today.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mendoza's a nice spot. I mean, he's comfortable in the position now. Wasn't great against Oregon, but you go back, like you said, to a couple of games for similar defenses, mid-30s. I mean, that would be a steal at 5,900. We already talked about one great quarterback in Arizona at 6K, 5,900. This is another good value range for QBs. Probably where I snapped the line, but Mendoza's in my player pool.
For sure. Mendoza's actually my 4th quarterback, all things considered.
Good.
Now, look, and I will preface that by saying one of my biggest strategies in defense, I've said this on the show multiple times, I think it's wisest to try and find value quarterbacks in DFS because it's more likely that a value lower price quarterback gets you to 30 and then you find the higher price receivers and running backs that have the upside that will get you there than it is you trying to get some upside from a lower price running back or receiver and playing a higher priced quarterback. So I think it's higher likely that Mendoza matches someone like Shador or someone like that than the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great way to go. Now, looking on the Washington State side, we got to put our hands together and just hope Lincoln Victor plays. I mean, this guy is an absolute vacuum for targets. I got to watch him against Oregon. It looked like Puka Nakua. Like it was over and over. And it was Victor, Victor, Victor. And it kept going to Arizona State, to Stanford. His only problem is he really hasn't been getting in the end zone with 4 touchdowns this year. But today he could have an enormous game. And 5,800 makes him my favorite receiver on the board today.
I'm with you. He's way underpriced for what his role is in a great matchup. It's just a mispricing here. Victor, I will be very overweight on today for sure.
Yeah. And the reports are he's playing, so that's great. I'm fading the Washington State running game. Used to like Nakia Watson, but he just doesn't get any. He gets no action.
Yeah, I'm with you. They don't run the ball enough. I don't think it's a good spot for him. I'd be okay with Ott. I think Ott's more of a priority for me in game stack, but I'm looking to go heavy on this game. Ott is the best offensive player for Cal, so you can play Ott with Mendoza, without Mendoza. They're just going to get out the ball. So Ott is in. And then there's some value receivers on Cal that I think are definitely in play, starting with Grizzle, who has come on more recently at only 4,300. He's very affordable in what should be a higher scoring back and forth game. I feel like the tight end Endries, who's he's gonna gone hit or miss. I mean, he had 7 for 64, 4 for 66. He has one of those games at 3,500. That's a real salary saver. And let's not forget, Washington State has gotten beaten by some tight ends this year, so it's a good spot for him as well.
Yeah, I like it. I guess if I get involved in that part of the game, it's going to be one or the other. And I might even, I don't know, Hunter still, in certain situations, he's had 13 catches over the past couple of weeks. I mean, he's a target share. I'll probably play a little Hunter too. It might be a situation where I go, and I built some lineups, but I might go Mendoza, Ott, one receiver, run back with Victor alone. Could even get some Cam Ward in there. I could see myself 4 to 5 in this game.
Yeah, I'll have plenty of game stacks. 4 to 5, I think, is easily in play. Even 6, you could play 2 of these Washington State receivers if you want to. They're both Kelly and Williams. I think Williams is my preference, but they're both pretty similar in terms of getting some exposure to one of those guys. But Hunter also in play. Hunter is probably the best receiver of the 3, the most expensive, but still not overpriced at all. He's still under 6K, 5,500. Certainly someone you can get into your lineups.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for the DFS side this week. I think, like we said, there's some really good spots to target. It's an exciting week. We got our value plays. I think this is like a funnel spot this week. I think the biggest thing you need to keep an eye on is ownership. There's some very popular plays this week that you gotta just get different in your lineups to make sure you don't go in too chalky. But it doesn't mean fade the chalk. I think you play the chalk, you just get different in the other spots.
Yeah, I agree. And solid picture still there. A few things that are different on the FanDuel slate. You're getting the Texas TCU game. Quinn Ewers is back in play today. TCU, Joel likes to use the term, and I agree, funnel defense, very much so. I think Ewers, could be a possible play on FanDuel. One other guy like Graham Mertz. You don't get the LSU Florida game on our slate. I hate Graham Mertz as a quarterback, but I love any quarterback against LSU. We've already talked about what Milroe did. I think Mertz could have a big day there. And then if you're looking at, a little different as well, you're getting the Georgia Ole Miss, right? Dewan Edwards, I think, is a huge play today for Ole Miss. For Georgia against Ole Miss. We don't get to get him in DraftKings, but get him in FanDuel. I think he's been shown, and we've been playing him in week out here. He's been shown, especially, Bauer's out. I think they're going to focus on that run game. So those are the kind of targets I have. You could get different also with LSU Florida and run back, one of those receivers with Neighbors or Brian Thomas. I prefer maybe Thomas. He's a lot cheaper. So that's where I'm at on FanDuel. But Joel, what are you looking forward to today? So many good games.
So many good games. So many games to be excited about. I'll be honest with you. I looked at the slate. I looked for some bets. Not a slate that I'm in love with betting on. I think there's some close games, some tougher ones, but I love the DFS side more than anything. So that's where I'm going to be super focused. The games that are top of my radar, this Cal at Washington State, my favorite game. That's where I'll be most exposed. And I can't get away from Ollie Gordon. I just can't get away. Love Ollie Gordon. He will be featured on my television this afternoon. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I agree. And from a betting perspective, I'm still dialing those in. Got an hour and a half or so. One I am leaning towards early. And man, it burns me because sometimes this team is just so atrocious, but I just feel like it's a great spot for UCF today. We talked about it earlier. Oklahoma State, light favorite, small favorite, but that winning Bedlam the way they won last week, and even winning the prior 4 games before that, I think they're right for the picking today. And now that John Reese Plumlee, and we've talked about liking him, this is his 4th straight start. Like he's really, they're starting to get settled in on offense there. RJ Harvey, I think, has a really big day. So I kind of like UCF as one bet I'm looking at. But to Joel's point, one game I'm going to, be a little heavy on too early on is that Texas Tech Kansas game. I think we have a lot of nice plays in there. We already talked about Taj Brooks, but I think I'm going to probably have a few lineups that get a good game stack in there with 62.5 as the total. They're second highest on the board.
Keep a look at those totals. It's a great way to find your targets. The highest over-unders are the games that we're going to find the most scoring. So it's a great DFS strategy from that standpoint.
There's a question. Top sud and top value you're prioritizing. I mean, I guess it's Gordon. I guess we have to say that it is Gordon, but we've all admitted it's eat chalk. Joel, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, like I said, Gordon is just a smash play. It's a good spot. His role is unbelievable. Gordon is the number 1 play for sure.
Value. I'm going Newbin. How about you?
Newbin's a good one. Newbin's definitely in my finalist pool. I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to pick a value play that's going to be lower owned. So a way to get different. I mentioned him already. I really like this Arizona tight end today, McLachlan at 4K. I think he finds the end zone. He's very involved against a Colorado team that's really gotten beat by tight ends this year. So McLachlan for me.
Yeah, interesting. He's averaged, a decent amount, but 31 receptions. He's had 5 games over 10 points and none under 6. So, that is a good value play. That's interesting. I like it. Thanks for the comment there, Pickett. And Newbin's the running back in Minnesota, in case you weren't on earlier. That's pretty much a wrap, Joel. It's going to be a great day, though. Let's just say Penn State, Michigan starts it off. We got Georgia, Ole Miss. There's just so many good games on the slate today. Washington obviously has a big game trying to get into that college football playoffs. As we get into the night slate, there's some interesting Texas TCU we talked about. Yeah, there's just so much good college football on today. Yeah, I can't wait.
Big day. It's going to be fun. It's an exciting day because it's different than last week. Last week didn't have as many of the smash high-scoring games to get excited about that today does. So get your lineups in. I think more of the fireworks are going to be in the afternoon. So get them in early, relax, get in at 3:30, and let's see the green screen. Share them with us. It goes a long way. Before we leave today, if you give us a like and a follow, it would be super helpful. And keep an eye on your phone before kickoff. Make sure you don't miss any last-minute injury news.
And please, on YouTube, comment whether you enjoy this Saturday mornings or Friday nights. We get a lot more involvement Saturday mornings. That's why we've been doing it. So hopefully it brings value to you guys as well. And like Joel said, show us those green screens. I'm sure you're going to have them today. I can't wait. I'm loading up on this, like Joel has said in the past, and I think he's there too. This is one of my favorite slates of the year already. So with that, we're going to sign out, get our lineups ready. No more late scratches, as Warren said, and let's get it going. Can't wait. We're Win Daily Sports. Log on, windailysports.com. Hop in the Discord. Talk to us. Send us any questions you got. And until next week, we're out.